Hello and welcome to our show, Midwest Weekly, starring myself, Herwez, and as always, back this week, my favorite person in the world, CLT man. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Had a slow day at work, so got a little energy left over to talk about some action.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna be working later, from what you told me. Did you just get off earlier than expected?
I just dodged. By working later, I dodged all the traffic. Is that reverse psychology?
First, I don't know if that's how it works, but fair enough. Um, but yeah, so this week, guys, it's gonna be a little different. Yeah, these last 2 weeks have been like really weird for me and CLT with some stuff. I have not been able to really dive into the games like I normally have. I haven't casted, as you guys have seen. Um, I've always said before, like if I can do less casting, it's actually good for me. But the problem is, if I'm doing less casting, I should be doing my homework, and I haven't been. It's just other stuff going on. So this week, instead of just giving you guys no good quality recapping, because I like to give you better recapping when I can. I actually had something that would be more. I thought would be interesting, and we're not gonna do this every week. I just figured it's halfway through the week, our week, halfway through the the season. That is
Split.
the split. Yeah, we're halfway through the split. So why not go in and do something I've kind of done before, but will be a little more unique to this specific split. So you obviously see the schedule here. We see we got 4 weeks left. So we're coming on the back end right now. I'm going to remind everybody of the format. So the top four teams are guaranteed to make playoffs. The next two spots available will be played for play-ins between seed 5 and seed 8 and seed 6 and seed 7. The winner of those matches will go on to be the 5th and 6th seed in the playoffs. And those will be best of 5. So basically, during that kind of, I guess you could kind of go after week 9, we'll call it just week 10 for the fun of it. It's basically week 10 before we get into official playoffs. So, with that said, looking at the standings, I figured we can go in. Um, Sorry, guys, give me a moment here. We could go in and we could look at what these teams can do to finish top four or to finish top eight, right? Because that right now should be every team's goal is to at least give themselves the opportunity to make playoffs. And if not, how can you, like, if not guaranteed make playoffs, that is, how can you put yourself in a proper situation to at least give yourself an opportunity by playing the plans, right? So it's either top four or top eight. Now, I do think it's kind of hard for all the teams to finish top four at this point, and we will kind of discuss that more as the episode goes on. But before we do that, I still figure we can at least touch on the games. Like, we're not going to completely ignore them. I'll still put the games up on, like, as we're talking about things. Um, but yeah, real quick. So the first series being played was between, of course, Small Brain No Mechanics and Hidden Leaf, and really it would be a fun game to really dive in and talk about. But just know this was probably the most heartbreaking game I might have ever partaken in personally. Um, and then I'll kind of show a little bit here of game two. Game two is just not did not really go as planned. So we can wipe game two from our memories. But yeah, so what is it going to take for Hidden Leaf to finish in the top four, right? Like, what is it going to take? Well, let's start with like what Hidden Leaf maybe can do to improve. I think that's a good spot. We'll start with them first. Um, and CLT, like you've watched a good amount of Hidden Leaf, you know them pretty well. What do you kind of see from this team?
Um, this team, I really do enjoy watching this team. I think they have strong solo laners. I think their bot lane is pretty strong when put in positions to win, and obviously everybody knows Akaza was the MVP last split, and he continued to show that performance in the jungle throughout this split to at least make people not forget him. Overall, for this team, I think sometimes they could just play a little more cohesively. I think this team makes you think of like a bunch of really talented solo queue players that got put together, and I it's not that they haven't played together for a while. They have. It's just the champions they pick, I think are more akin to the solo queue style. They are a fast-paced team. They like to skirmish a lot. They like to put pressure on specifically the top side of the map. You know, Akaza is everywhere. He loves invading, fighting the other jungler, as you can attest to this past week. And I see them as a really talented team, and if they fire on all cylinders, they're a really hard team to beat. But sometimes the skirmishing gets them in trouble. Maybe they don't pick the best fights, or they try to just Hail Mary it sometimes. But overall, I think they're a really mechanically sound, really mechanically gifted team, and it's just coming down to maybe a touch more cohesiveness in the draft, but then a lot more coordination in game, especially in that like mid to late game.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up the invading thing. I didn't really, and I know you guys are gonna see it on the screen that he's invading and taking a camp, but he's just taking a camp. He's not fighting me. Um, I didn't really deal with that too much, to be honest. And we scrimmed against him a decent amount of times. I don't know if I see him as a hard invading jungler, but he's just a very smart player. He knows where to be, and he knows how to macro properly and all that good stuff. So he's not one of those. He necessarily looks to duel you. Not saying he doesn't have that capability. He plays stuff like Kha'Zix, of course. It's just he doesn't really feel like that. It's not like like terrorists from last split that would always be like constantly hopping over walls, looking for those crazy level 2, level 3 invades. It's not something like that. He generally just plays. He plays a really smart, calculated style of league. Um, but enough on him. As far as the rest of the team goes, um, yeah, I can agree with some of the takes. I do think they generally don't opt for hard scaling. It was funny because they ended up picking this really hard scaling comp against us here in game one, but they generally don't go for that kind of setup. I do agree they try to play more of a hands checky style. They do like skirmishing, and I do think some of those skirmishes can bite them. But that's how they gain their leads. And usually, once they get those leads, and Akaza specifically reaps the benefits of a lot of those leads, they tend to punish really, really well throughout the rest of the game. And they're usually able to close out a game relatively quick between that 25 to 30 minute mark. They don't really take too long. Um, but yeah, I don't know if they have a major weakness outside of that, like the stuff you kind of said, like the skirmishing thing, where you're right. Like sometimes they might take a fight in a bad timer. Maybe Champles could be a conversational piece. I don't know. I mean, um, I think Toji has a pretty good deep pool and supports. Gojo, he's willing to pretty much play anything. We know Kaza plays a decent amount of picks, but um, Arthurius is kind of like to stick to those like what Syndras and Luxes and stuff. It did seem like he was not really loving the Smolder, for example. So I wonder if he's pinched out a little bit, if maybe that's like a focal point. I'm not for sure. I could not say 100% because I haven't seen enough of his pool and what he's willing to play, but you never know. With all that being said, though, like to me, I feel like they're not a lock. You guys see them here. They're 4-1. They got an 8-2 game record. The remaining schedule a little harder to look this over, but they have Stun Gaming Incarnate, which is going to be another for the third straight week. By the way, Incarnate's playing for first place. I think it's kind of hilarious. Then they got Scorch, Femboys, and they finish off with Mapogo. So
Boy, gauntlet.
yeah, it's pretty tough to say the least. I think the schedule favors them picking up some wins there for sure. I think they can definitely beat almost every team there without too much stress. And I'm not saying that in a mean way. I'm saying that like their form looks really really good right now. Um, but I
I think
do
they,
think. Go ahead.
I think they can go 3-1 in that stretch easily.
Yeah, I can see a 3-1. So I think their top four is a high. They have a high chance of finishing top four. Like I'd have to say, like if you gave it like a percentage, like 90-95% chance, they're gonna be up there in the top four and in playoffs. Barring some weird collapse over the next couple weeks, maybe they drop two series out of nowhere or something. Then it obviously would get hard. But to me they're guaranteed to finish top eight. That's not even in question, right? They're a top eight. They're a top eight team if all else fails. But I highly doubt that. So their path looks pretty good. If you win, like you said, if you go 3-1, you're top four. You're probably the second seed, maybe the third seed. If you go 2-2, I still think you're top four. Maybe you fall as far as the fourth seed. If you somehow go 1-3, then yeah, you're probably looking at like a fifth seed or below. But yeah, 3-1, 2-2. That seems like a realistic last couple weeks for them. So, um, but yeah, this game was a banger, guys. I played it, so I do have a little bit of stuff for you. I would just say, this, like I said, this is one of the most heartbreaking losses of my lifetime. So, you can see I'm 11-0-16 right now. I don't think I've had a game like this ever. It was a crazy experience. Um, so the ending, it ended up being just a fight that was for like the elder setup here, and unfortunately, it did not go our way. I'll show that real quick, and we'll jump into small brains. We'll jump into what they have to do to improve. I think I obviously have some inside takes on this, but I think I want to start with UCLT and um, see what you kind of see from us because I'll save my reservations till after that.
Yeah, Small Brains, I think is a very you guys have always been extremely consistent, extremely cohesive in a lot of your games. I think sometimes the draft maybe gets away from you a little bit. Thinking of game one here against Hidden Leaf, like you really don't have much siege, much wave clear. Like your comp really loves for Hidden Leaf to make a mistake or kind of into you, which sometimes I think you guys find yourselves not being able to create as much with your team comps there. But I think you have talented players across the board, and I think you guys do pick really good, really clean fights and skirmishes. It's just sometimes I think you try to get too much out of your comp. So for small brains, if the early game goes well, you guys hit the mid and late game shot callings and macro plays really well. It's just then comes down to what did you draft and what are you asking like the team comp to do in certain situations.
Yeah, I actually think the game one draft was perfect.
I
I
don't like it.
literally does exactly what it's supposed to do. You dive them, you kill them all, and then you just win the game.
But you don't have anybody, and we're not going to go too deep into this, but I don't think, in my humble opinion, that you have anybody that is like the late game insurance. Like you have to win
Well, I
by
don't.
like the 20, 30, 40 minute
I
mark.
hear me out. I don't think you every comp wants to draft that way. I don't think you want a comp that needs to always draft for. You need to have a late game insurance. If you know what you're drafting, and I think what we drafted was fine, you just know you have to close the game. The problem was we fucked up closing the game. If you go back and watch the game, I could show you even the clip. It was a miscommunication call. It was a little later than we wanted to be, but we had Elder Baron. Like there's really no excuse we don't just end that game. Like we walked down to their faces and just it's GG. And it was funny talking to Hidden Leaf afterwards. They literally were trying to surrender. Multiple members of the team were like, "We're done. Get us out. It's over." And then other people on the team were like, "No, no, 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 wait. We can stall, or whatever. It's not over. It's not over." But like when we had Elder Baron, it should have been over. We overstepped in that game by doing two different things at once. It was definitely a
Oh,
communicative error. So
I
I
mean, I agree. I agree, and like I haven't not contextually watched all the game. That very well could have been or was the case. I just know that that's the type of comp you guys draft. And if anybody's going to play that type of comp, you guys are the ones that do it. Maybe Scorch is the other one, um, where they can play. They have like their style of team comps and they play it and don't need the late game insurance. But uh, if you guys tell me that this comp is on any other team, then I think the chances of winning are much lower than if you guys pilot this comp. But again, there's still avenues of like you have to execute this comp very well. Um,
yeah, I
and
mean
the one mistake you make, it's like Sivir's wave clearing, Smolder's great when you're sieging into him,
yeah,
and
no,
overall,
100%. Like we we were aware of the comp we were drafting. We were drafting it. We knew exactly what we were supposed to do to win the game. It's just execution, right? Um, like I think you look at the same thing with our next comp. Like everything was fine except for top lane pick. I actually agree, by the way, with your sentiment like that. We do flub drafts, but I just don't think game one was the flub drafts. If anything, it's a game two, which generally, if you look at our history, game two is when we flub drafts. Game two, game three, one of those we're gonna mess up a draft and just do some weird crap that makes no sense. Desynergize our picks. So I actually don't disagree on that part of it. I just don't think it was game one being the issue with the draft. The reason why I don't like that Mundo in hindsight is we have nothing to kill the Zahen quick enough, and we have two melee champions already that are low DPS. So like we don't have enough peel set up to make like it's so simple to just burst the guy, and then he'll just start healing through and cutting down our tanks for free, basically at that point. So if you play something else that's a little more damage heavy top, and I know I kind of mentioned calling for it, but we liked the Mundo, so we still went with it. Um, but yeah, I think we just needed a little more damage, and if we
Need like
could,
a Syndra here.
Syndra would have been great too. Yes, I actually was definitely for
I
a
don't
Syndra
like.
pick.
Yeah.
But I mean, Victor's fine too. If you think about Victor with Zaya, and Braum Skarner, the front to back is fantastic. In fact, the front to back is perfect. I don't think innately it's horrible. It's just we needed more damage to kill this hen, because the hen was kind of, even if he wasn't like hard carrying, he just wasn't dying. Like he just lives, and if we can't kill him, and we have to put all this focus into him, and then the rest of the team now gets to do their damage, it's a bit of a problem, and that's basically what happened. So,
Yeah.
pretty unfortunate, but nonetheless, yeah, I definitely agree with the drafting thing. The other thing I think is something we can definitely work on is just, um, I've noticed throughout our whole team in the last couple splits, our reset timers always seem to be at different times. We need to get more consistent with that. I think it matters a lot, especially in this new season. Tempo is everything, and if anybody's tempo is off on your team, it could be the difference between giving a Drake for free, contesting a Drake, or just getting a Drake for free. For example, like tempo is a really big deal. Sometimes you're forced to no matter what, like give up a situation, but a lot of times it's just a tempo resets slightly off here or there, and it ends up coming to bite us. So, um, I think if we clean up the drafting errors and get better with that tempo situation, I do think we'll be in a better spot. But as it stands, I mean, we just went from 3-0 to 3-2, went from 6-0 to 0-4 in games. So it's not looking on the up and up for us at the moment. We currently are sitting at fifth place. So I would say it's almost impossible, I think, at this point for us to not be the top eight. I think you could probably agree with that. Like we beat the bottom three teams, so it's very unlikely we'd miss it, barring some crazy collapse, and then obviously some amazing uh, games by the bottom of the standings. Um, Top four looks pretty tough though. We've already lost to Incarnate and Leaf. So we do have a couple games against who are currently in the top four. We get Scorch this week, and then we get Mythos at the end of the split. But Femboys and MapleGo are also still trying to fight for that kind of fourth spot, I feel like. Um, so, I'd probably give us like I don't know, 50% chance to get top four, but a very high chance to get top eight. And you're probably looking at you more than likely 3-1 is the benchmark at this point to get us in the top four. I think if you don't go 3-1, you're probably looking at a fifth or a sixth seed. So I think that's the situation. But yeah,
You guys
man.
got a hell of a schedule coming up too.
Yeah, I mean, and I can show that too. Yeah, I mean, our schedule since week four has been balls to the wall, man. So yeah, we got Scorch this week, then Femboys the following week, Map will go, and then we finish up with Mythos. Like there's an actual world where, with the way we're playing currently, we could certainly just go 0-4 and be 3-6. It's very possible. Do I think it's gonna happen? No, but it's possible. I think we can get out of this rut we're in. I trust in the team to do that. But we just need to put in the work and put in the time, put in the effort. So we'll see if we're able to do that. So yeah, we'll go ahead and jump on to the next games. And again, sorry guys that we're not doing any full recapping. Unironically, I could easily recap my own series. So, but I'm gonna keep it consistent. So, uh, where's the last fight at? I think this was it. So I'll let this play out, and then go ahead and get out my misery that this was after game one at least. And we could talk about the next series, which CLT was Scorch versus VIP, which I should mention to everybody now. I'm just gonna say this: I'm not for sure what's happening, but there is a chance that VIP might just be dropping out of the league. We'll let you know in the captain's lounge probably if that does occur. But yeah, to their opponent who is Femboys, be aware that you might not be having a game this week. So we will jump into this game. But yeah, so I think we'll start with Scorch for sure. Kind of show you guys game one here. It's a 29-minute game. Looks like a bit of a barn burner. And then game two is a Scorch game if I've ever seen one. They're trying to push. They're trying to push for 40-minute banger. It's their classic. It's a classic thing for them. Where's the? I thought it was in the playlist. Was I not? Hold on, guys. I was not on the playlist. My bad. Let me do this real quick. They're gonna be like, Hairwiz, what are you doing? Is this your first time running this? Yes, it is actually.
Second.
I don't normally do this. I'm a rookie.
No, that's my bad.
Why is it your bad?
Because I do a lot of the media stuff.
No, I just wasn't on the playlist. I put them under there. I just wasn't on it. All right, so yeah, Scorch versus VIP. So what can Scorch do to continue to improve? I think they're sitting at 4-1 right now. I think they're in a great spot. I do think their schedule gets a bit more difficult, but what is something they can do to continue to clean up their team, because they definitely, even though they're 4-1, I do think they have a decent amount of holes.
I think Scorch, unironically enough, can get almost too consistent with their drafts. So I think there's a world where they can improve upon that in their own like unique way. We have enough sample size. We know Ares likes to just kind of play some range top laners, doesn't really divert to the super tanks or anything like that. Boonstra and Calico, while they've been playing together, if you've watched them or been around the server enough, you kind of have a pretty good idea of what they're going to play. Like, I don't think there's that many surprises in their drafts, like say splits in the past. Play wise, I think Rusty's having himself a fantastic season, and I think Bananasaur is doing everything he can to support the bro there. Ares is grinding through lanes and kind of letting his unique top lane champ pool scale into the game. Bot lane, they're playing well and they're not losing lanes, but they're just pretty happy to just keep it consistent, keep it even, and kind of play to their top side strength of the map here. So I think they've kind of narrowed down the type of game they want to play this split, and they're playing it very well. I mean, they've rattled off the last 3 series against NTR. Then they beat Insane Banana. Now they beat VIP, but you're gonna have a lot more tougher competition coming up. So we'll see how their style of play goes against the top teams.
Yeah.
I mean, they did beat Mapago, so they do have a win against a playoff team are a team positioned for playoffs, but then their only their only loss was against Mythos, so they still have Incarnate. You still got you guys coming up this week. They still got some tough teams ahead of them, so we're gonna learn more about them um, as they continue to play. But they're on a really nice stretch. They're beating the teams they need to beat, and I think they've put themselves in a really good position to maybe fight for that top 4 spot in playoffs. But for sure, they make the playoffs, and I think at worst case they get side selection on play-in games.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. So for me, like when I look at a team like Scorch, they've evolved a lot because they've changed this roster up pretty consistently over the last couple splits. This is probably one of the better rosters they've fielded over their history here. It's very, very top heavy, especially when it comes to literally top side of the map. Top mid are extremely good. This is not ignoring Rusty. Rusty is great, but I'm just simply saying those solo lanes are actually really, really consistent. Bananasaur isn't like a someone I'd look at and be like, oh man, he's just going to completely crap all over your team with his all-star mechanics or something. But he is very knowledgeable and very good at what he does, and he's so consistent in the mid lane. And then top lane is that guy. Like Ares will take over a game, and then you got Rusty there to be that consistent shot caller and key to victory because he's just always so good at that. He's a very good leader of the team. So I do want to see Boonstra and Calico kind of return to the form they once were. I haven't seen that from them, and I think that matters a little bit. Like they've still had good moments, but if they get to like the Scorch that made that run to finals like a year ago or whatever it was now, a year and a half ago, if they turn into that Scorch again, and I'm referring to Calico Boonstra bot lane, I mean this team could be absolutely terrifying. As far as their drafting goes, I think they're always the weak thing of their drafting is just cooking too much at times in the top side of the map. Because Ares is so good, but you say unique shampoo, but he'll get punished for weird picks sometimes. Like sometimes he doesn't need to pull out the weird picks, just play more of a standard style because you're that good to compete against any top laner in the league. And then he'll be like, all right, I'm playing Kale today, boys, you know? And
Mhm.
Kale can work, but Kale can get punished very easily too. And these higher, stronger teams are not going to let you just get away with Kale top. I'm just thinking of something he's done in the past, right? So as long as they stay steady there, I don't see it being too much of an issue. As far as their path to the playoffs, like you said, it is pretty tough. Like it's not something that's it's a free walk in. They do have a nice win over Mapogo, and Mapogo being definitely one of the better teams in the league in terms of you look at their record. I mean, every week until this week, they've gone the whole distance, so they're able to win games without question. Uh, but I do think that when you're looking at it in totality, this week's test is against Small Brains, right? If they can beat Small Brains, regardless of Small Brains' skid, I think they've lined themselves up in a great spot to get that top four. Because now you're 5-1. You probably need one or two more wins to get that top four. At worst, you're like the fourth seed if you're like 6 wins probably, with a tiebreaker or something. But yes, my path for them is probably similar to the most of the team's path for top four here. Something like 3-1 or 2-2 would probably put them in. Um, I 2-2 might be a little tough depending because I don't remember who they play. I know you mentioned some of the teams, but we can peek here. Um, so yeah, Scorch they got us like we said, and then they have Leaf. Like that's a pretty big one, you know. But there's a world if you drop these two, those could be possibly two of the top four teams, right? We talked about Small Brains still has a chance. Leaf certainly looking like they're going to be top four. You will now not have tiebreaker there. You've already lost to Mythos, which is another team, and then you have to play Femboys and. Oh, no, I'm sorry, not Femboys. You do play Femboys last week. You have to play Incarnate and Femboys. So it's a really, really tough stretch to get out of there. I think 2-2 is even tough, right? So
If if they go 2-2, but one of the wins is over Small Brains, I think they have the tiebreaker against everybody, depending on like what run Femboys goes on. That'd probably be the only one that could threaten kicking them out top 4. But if they beat Small Brains, they have a very high chance of staying top 4 with that 4th seed. But again, like small brains, if they go 2-2, 3-1, the worst case scenario is going to be side selection in a play-in series. I think they're pretty well locked for just playoffs in
Yeah,
general.
when you say you meant 1-3, right? Not 3-1. Because 3-1, I think they actually get top
Oh,
four.
oh yeah, sorry, 1-3. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say if
If
they.
if the one wins over small brains, they have a pretty decent shot holding on the top four. It'll
Yeah,
just depend on what Hidden Leaf does. But everybody above them, including Femboys, would then have the tiebreaker over them. So at 1-3.
right.
So
Right.
2-2 is like what the dream scenario is for them.
Yeah, it's optimal, and if you can
Yeah.
go undefeated, that's great too. And then that's a whole different conversation. Then we're talking about you as obviously one of the top teams in the league, 'cause that means you beat Incarnate. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a tough stretch. These next four, without question, for a lot of these teams, which is good. We're shaping up for probably a lot of cannibalizing between all these teams. A lot of splitting series, like you beat them, but then they beat another team beat you, who lost to that team you beat or whatever. Like there could be a
Yeah.
lot of that going on. Um, so it'll be very interesting how that plays out for Scorch. But I do say I'd give them around the similar to Small Brains, probably a 50% chance to get top four because I do think it's hard for both the teams right now. What's in front of them, but like you said, that series this week probably dictates a lot. It probably sets up a lot for one of these
For sure.
teams. Whoever kind of wins puts themselves in the best spot to stare down the road at the third or fourth seed, probably being like
Hmm.
the highest they can get to at that point. So, but yeah, playoffs is a good shot for them. They're obviously gonna have a shot at plans, with no doubt. So, let's go ahead and we'll show you guys the end of this game as always. And I'm still gonna talk about VIP regardless. They haven't left just yet. We're gonna see if we can coordinate anything with them. And it makes me sad because they've had some success this split. Even if they haven't won, they've shown like really really bright spots. Um, I know the rosters kind of had been switched up a little bit, but they continue to compete every week. They have never been a team that just kind of lays us down and dies. So I know they're 0-5, but CLT, if you looked at what they've kind of put on paper, if this team decided to just stick around and play with the roster, most of the roster they've put out there, what do you think would be the improvement you want to see from them?
Oh, wow. I think closing out games. We've seen VIP against Insane Banana, and even here against Scorch. I remember casting this that they did a lot of good things in the early game, but when the punch gets kind of thrown back at them, they've not adapted and played well. But so I think maybe like their early games are pretty good. Like I said they found themselves in positions to win games. It's just closing them out, which I mean could be akin to not having a consistent roster, always finding subs. If they could just get some consistency there, I think they have a kind of an outside shot to make it. I mean, if they put in, if they found ways to put in work, and Femboys does not look strong here in week 6, I think they could potentially upset there. But then they have Mapago, they have Mythos, which is obviously really really tough. But then they finish the season with Notorious Thieves. There's a chance that they could go 2-2. Maybe with an upset 3-1 and kind of sneak in there. It'd be an interesting conversation between like IBP, Mapago, VIP. If they could
Mm,
rattle off a series or two there,
yeah,
especially if they could have the tiebreaker over Mapago,
I I
that could
definitely
be interesting.
I definitely agree. By the way, like closing out has been their biggest issue. They're actually able to get leads against even some of the better teams in the league. They just can't close games out, and I don't know what that stems from. I think I've talked about it on the show before. I think Rexy even was a person that brought it up too. Like, it's just there's something there that's missing, and sometimes just things don't fall your way. But late season runs can happen. Like you said, it's anything possible. You're only out of it once you're out of it, right? We've seen it in all sports. Um, Obviously, it doesn't feel good, and you know your head is feeling low when you're in this type of situation. Like I would not be want to be any team where they're at the moment mentally. But all it takes is one win, even if it's a simple, a simple game win. Like you don't win the series, but you get a game. That could change the complexity of your season. If you go 1-2 against Femboys, like all of a sudden, like all right, maybe we can just beat somebody, and then you beat somebody, and all of a sudden now it's like now we just need one more win. And like you kind of mentioned about IBP, which we'll get into in a bit, but that's their biggest like contest right now for that eighth spot, which would be a play-in spot, right? Um, and how do you get there? You got to get 2 series wins, and you have to have Insane Banana Posse lose all their games. Insane Banana Posse can't win a series. Why? Because Insane Banana Posse own the tiebreaker over VIP. So it's not an easy task, but it can be done. So the 2-2 is certainly possible. I would say, if I were looking at it from the perspective of them, like obviously top four is basically impossible. I think even if they went 4 in a row, like I don't think they could make the top four. But um, yeah, I'd give them probably a 20% chance at getting in. It's a smaller percentage, but I do think it's possible. And if they decide to leave and we have to do something else, whether that's just no one playing or maybe we see, I don't know, there's discussions and we have to see maybe we bring another team in that keeps their record. But I really do hope they somehow can find a way to make it through and just push out these last 4 weeks. You've already made it 5. You know, you just push through 4 more. You never know what can happen, and you know, give yourself an opportunity. But I've enjoyed having them around as an org. I've enjoyed watching them, and I do think that they've had a lot of bright spots this split, and in previous splits have fielded some really good teams. Um, and I don't think this team was never not good. Just things haven't fallen their way. But yeah, I do think it's going to be a pretty tough test and one I don't know if they can overcome. But we'll see what they decide. It's really all the ball's in their court right now, and whether or not they play. So we have no control over that. But if they don't return, and they do watch this by chance, I just want to say thanks for trying to stick it out any which way, regardless of what's been going on with you guys. We do appreciate it, and I think the rest of the league does too, because I don't think anybody wants to not play games. That's the biggest thing. They just want to play. So, but trying to get to the end of this game real quick. Sure, this was a pretty long game. Another one where like I'm sure VIP could have won. Something just fell their way. It's got to be so heartbreaking, game after game. You're looking like, oh, we have a chance. Never mind, we don't. It's never a good feeling. But we can jump into the next series, which we're both the Saturday series. So, what was the first one played?
It's
posted.
Femboys and Saint Banana.
I was posted first.
I think it started first. We started
Oh.
a half hour before. The
Okay, we'll just do those then. We'll go to them.
yeah.
So yes, Femboys versus Insane Banana Posse. Femboys have been on the up and up, man. They're starting to figure it out. It appears maybe that's what's going on here. So
I don't know about that.
why does it say there's a deleted? CLT, did you delete one of my videos?
No.
Why does it say deleted video?
Mm,
Can you see if the Incarnate versus series is uploading? Cause I had to upload them both, and um,
let me see.
while we're doing that, I'll talk about the games, guys. I'm sorry. I don't mean to get distracted in the middle. I'm just seeing there's a deleted video, and I know that I just uploaded all the series. So one of them was still in the middle of uploading.
Yeah. The Stunned Rivalry is uploading. Mapago versus Notorious Thieves is up. I do not see a deleted video.
Okay. Can I click this? I'm gonna remove it from Baron League. I don't know why it's showing up there. It's really messing with my brain, guys. Some random deleted video that I don't remember deleting. Okay, well, anyways, let's get into the actual focal point of the video. Femboys
Side quest.
Yes, side quest. Femboys Insane Banana Posse. Yes. So let's start with Insane Banana Posse first, shall we? Let's start with the team that lost first here. So let's.
Don't make me do this.
I'll do it for you.
I know I'll do it. I'll be more than happy to do it, but
Insane
it's
Banana
like,
Posse. What it takes to win. Play your roles.
thank you.
Um.
Look, by the way, I say that with nothing but love, especially the War. He's been the goat around here. With casting and just overall having fun. But goddamn, it makes our job so much harder to like talk about a team that is Phil every freaking week.
Yeah.
Oh
I mean,
man.
they've
If they
shown
played,
it's possible to win with their funniness going on. They beat VIP the week one, so anything is possible. But as of right now, that's basically what they hold their hat on. They're like, hey, we have a chance at playoffs just because, as of right now, we're the eighth seed. We own tiebreaker over VIP, and have they played NCR already? Um,
stand by. They get Mapago this week.
let's look at their schedule real quick, guys. Let's
They
just
get
take.
Mythos.
Why can't I see IBP? There it is. Yeah, Mythos.
NTR week 8.
Okay, yeah. So they'll play it. They'll play
So
them there, assuming they don't fumble the bag there. I mean, I guess they could. Anything is possible with this team at the moment. But assuming they don't fumble the bag, they should be. You know, they'd have the tiebreakers, so there's almost no chance to miss out on an opportunity for playoffs. But if they want like a real shot, right? If we're talking about what can this team do to not only make playoffs, but even maybe make a run, win some series. Yeah, it starts with playing their roles, but it also I think it does start with if they are gonna play these funky roles. I feel like if you're gonna be doing that, you should try to learn some of the meta picks in those roles. I know like War loves playing Nautilus pretty much everywhere he can, but sometimes it's not a bad thing to just say, hey, you know what? I know I can play this champion. It's not that hard. Like I don't know a Syndra pick for example. I think War could play that champion. War doesn't think he can. I think he can. Um, Something like that could help give you guys more of a chance. I'm not saying funky picks aren't always good, but they certainly aren't always great. So, um, yeah, that's really the only take I got on IBP, man. I just think that's what they have to do to win. Is just play their roles.
I
But I
to,
do think they have a high chance of getting play-ins, right? I
but are they gonna go deep? I don't think so.
well, this is not the conversation. The conversation is what is going to give you an opportunity for play-ins or top four. I think they can be top eight, right? Top four.
Okay,
If
okay.
they won
Road.
four, if they went 4-0, they could have a chance at top four. But I don't think it's very likely with what they're doing at the
It's
moment.
not happening. You know what I need from them? I need them to lock in.
Lock
Like,
in, lock in.
I lock in, play the roles. Quit having fun. No, I'm joking. No, if they beat Notorious Thieving Raccoons week 8, they're in.
Yeah,
They're going to be the
they're playing.
AC.
Their plans, yes.
No questions asked. I think if they're going to upset a team, them versus Mapago here in week 6, if they natural 20 their normal rolls, they have a chance. But I think sometimes they natural 20 somebody into a role and then natural 1 somebody else into another role. I'm still waiting for the War initiate bot lane here because
Yeah.
I know he's got some cook there. We'll see how it goes. But you know what? I can't hate on the team that just wants to have fun. I think they have talented players. I think Crackler and Threshold Day has been a very consistent duo. If they ever link up bot lane, Ghost Tiger obviously is stupid talented in the jungle. Noob being a top laner is great. And War is never going to lose his team a game in the solo lanes, but you know the way he plays a lot of like tanky or passive picks, he's never going to win a game. So if they just lock in, maybe just practice and keep a consistent lineup. I don't even care if they're playing their roles, but just some consistency with how they're playing, and then that can develop into the meta picks you're referring to.
Yeah, 100%. So I'll say 1 and 3 is there's a high chance. I don't think they're. It's very unlikely they miss out on an opportunity because then that means that VIP going 2-2 At best, still tiebreaker is owned by IBP. But I've seen crazier stuff, so I will never rule anything out ever. But IBP, if they really want to guarantee it, you also go 2-2. You go 2-2 here, get the 3 wins. I don't see anybody of the last two teams catching you. That means you have an opportunity to play the fifth seed. Whoever knows who that's going to be, nobody really knows. Your guess is as good as mine at this point. But yeah, I do think that's their path for an opportunity to playoffs. And I know what you're thinking. I know you're going to say like, oh, it's probably this team or this team. I don't even want to do that game because at this point, like, what happens if let's go with this scenario. Let's just go with this scenario real quick, CLT, before you get into what I know what you're probably gonna say, like one of those middle of the
No,
pack
we're
teams.
getting into what I was gonna say.
I already know where you're going. Let's just say Leaf beats Incarnate this week. Then let's say Small Brains beats Scorch. IBP upsets Mapago, and we'll just say Femboys wins because we don't know if VIP is gonna play. But let's just say that happens. That just changes the complexity of everything all of a sudden. Everything shifts again. So like you can't like guarantee like the fifth seed's going to be a team like Small Brains or maybe Scorch or maybe Mapago or maybe Femboys because just this 1 week could shift everything, and then you go to the next week and it could shift it again. Like Incarnate could drop 3 series in a row and they'd be 5-3, and then what? And I know we don't think that's gonna happen, but we also just watched Mythos and Small Brains do the exact thing, dropping 2 in a row. So anything's possible right now. I would not put anything out of the script at this moment in time. So I don't know if I
They
showed
beat
these. I think I showed
they
these.
beat NTR. They make playoffs. If they go on a run, 2-2, 3-1, they get side selection for the play-in series. At best case scenario,
Yeah,
same banana. I don't see them ever threatening top four because they've already got a few tiebreakers that they would lose to. But
I thought
if
you were
things
predicting their fifth seed opponent. My bad.
no,
Okay.
if they go 3-1, I think they're guaranteed to have side selection, whether it be the fifth or sixth seed. Just depends on how the dice rolls. But if they beat NTR, they're basically locked into playoffs because they have tiebreakers over
That
VIP and
they're not
NTR. So
locked into playoffs. They're locked into play-ins. I don't want play-ins to be
play-ins.
looked at as playoffs because there's no double
Well,
elimination in play-ins. That's important. If it was truly playoffs, it'd be double elimination.
they're locked into a BO5.
They're locked into a
However you want
chance at playing for the
to.
chip.
Yeah. Which, by the way, Insane Banana and a BO5,
who,
like,
who knows what that looks like?
well, it depends what the rolls are.
Yeah,
Because if they're all off roll, a BO5 could be a nightmare for them. So
yeah,
champ pool is not going to be wide.
yeah.
If they roll, if they like I said, if they natural 20 their rolls, a BO5 they could be pretty deadly in. Because I know Ghost Tiger. I've played against him a couple of times back in the old Insane Banana. He's got an insanely deep champion pool, so many different styles.
Ghost Tiger, you mean Flame
Um,
Dog?
sorry, Flame Dog. My apologies. I've played against them both.
Yeah, I was like, wait a
You know,
second.
they're
Ghost
both
Tiger's not
extremely
really
talented.
wrong.
But Flame Dog is a savant when it comes to drafting. If everybody can execute their champions, like Flame Dog is very smart when it comes to drafting. So if they make land on their rolls for playoffs, that could be a sneaky team. But it's like their high is super high, but man, is their low like you could email the series. It's pretty low.
Yeah, I feel that. Well, with that said, I think we know where IBP stands. Let's talk about the Femboys, who are they're 3-2. That the sky is looking up for them. I think they've been going back and forth with wins, right? Um, well, actually, let's talk about where they sit first before I look at their wins. They are currently, shoot, they're sixth. They're the sixth spot right now. But yeah, I'm pretty sure they've been going back and forth with their wins, right? Like lost week 1, week 2, lost week 3, 1 week 4. Is that what's been happening here?
Uh, they've beat teams below them,
Oh no, they've won
but
back to back though. They won week 4, week 5. Okay,
they won. They beat NTR, Mapago, and
IBP.
an IBP. So they've beaten the teams below them, but they do not have an impressive win. I mean, Mapago even pushed them to game 3 with a sub mid laner. It's
Well, I think the Mapago win looks pretty good at the moment. I don't think it looks too bad. If we're
Mm,
not talking impressive wins, it's small brains. They've beaten nobody. I think we have to give credit where credit is due. Femboys have one meaningful win on the record. I think, right? I would say at least one meaningful win.
it's
Um,
only meaningful because Mapago beat Mythos, right?
yeah, so that should count
Like
for
that's
something.
well, it does,
And you gotta forget,
but
Mapago
it
has
also
pushed Mapago has pushed every single team they've played to a full series. Every single team, except for
I
NTR, who they swept. You can't.
I get that.
No, it is a meaningful win. It is a meaningful win. Is it like the best win? No, but it's meaningful regardless. It just now has more meaning because they did just beat Mythos. But we'll get to Mythos in a second because we're going to talk about that series anyways, or not the full series, but we're going to talk about those two teams of the two stun teams. I think Femboys deserves credit. They have a meaningful win. 100%. They have a meaningful win. So the question is now, what can they do better, right? That's the question. What can they do to improve for their team? And I for one know where to start. It's what's going on with bot lane. I think Angel Boy and Ashes, compared to what they looked like the first split they played together, look nothing like their original split together. And Angel Boy doesn't look anything like he did last split. Now I don't know what that is. If it's meta, if it's something else, if it's having maybe a different jungler in there. It also looks like King of Nothing might have been um, filling in for Noah. So Inferno went top, and King of Nothing went. We've seen this guy before. He's very good. But yeah, what is happening there? I think that's really the question. The other thing is you can look a little bit at Rurika too, and I think Rurika would agree. He's not played to his standards, but he's played well
Nope.
enough, I think, for the most part, with the exception of one series where he's been pretty consistent. I just think the bot lane's been super inconsistent, and it's had a lot of ups and downs. So for me, I just want to see improvement there. And if they get back to that same form they had when they made that amazing run the first time, and took out Instinct in the finals the first time, um, if that bot lane shows up, I fear for the rest of the league. But if they continue on the trend they've had, I do think it's a tougher path to like a championship. But I do think they're going to make the playoffs. But I don't think they're going to
Oh,
be a
for
top.
sure.
I don't know if they're going to be a top four team. So
I don't think they're going to be a top 4 team either, unless they show something. Um, uh, you mentioned the bot lane. I'm 100% with you. I think the bot lane definitely looks like they're off, or they're just not. They're not in sync. Rurika's probably having. I can honestly say, watching him and actually like taking a lot off of him, he's probably having the worst split he's had since joining the Midwest League. I mean, the top laner, Wengod, he looks like he's playing very well. Inferno, for playing a few different roles throughout the split, he looks like he's playing very well as well. But his team just does not look in sync, and if they get an impressive win, then I think that will kick off and maybe wake them up a little bit. But for right now, I just don't. I don't know. Are they going to be a dark horse in the playoffs? Absolutely. I would not want to see if this team somehow gets, uh, they dodge the play-in series and they get a week to actually like lock in and maybe play some flex and get their shit together. Then they're going to be an insanely dangerous team. But likewise, if they're stuck into a play-in series and they get pushed into a BO5, that might warm them up for playoffs too. So I don't know. I think the highs are very, very high for this team. They're obviously defending champs. Um, they haven't had much consistency in their roster and the schedule, and I know a few of their guys are got limited time outside of it, so maybe this just ain't the split where they're going to put the work in and grind. But if this team wakes up, they're going to be deadly. And I have nothing like this team could easily win the split.
yeah,
That's how talented they are. But I haven't seen it compared to the other talent that's in this split and is even joined split with the stun teams.
Yeah,
But
I
we'll
would.
see. They've got some good challenges coming up.
Yeah, I would have to mostly agree. Where you're leaning. I think they'd rather play the play-ins though. I mean, I've even talked to Eureka a little bit. Like, I think they prefer to just get an extra series in. It's probably better for them overall,
Hmm.
and especially because look at the teams that they could play. Let's play the roulette game for Femboys. I just showed the ending of the first game. Pretty much, I was tweaking and I missed that. But yeah, let's play the roulette game here and let's look at what are their opponents here, or not opponents. What could their opponents be, right? So if they're the sixth seed right now, let's just say they finish the sixth seed. Let's have that conversation. That means they play, uh, one of the seven seed teams. So seven seed teams possibly that could be Mapogo. Well, they barely beat Mapogo, but they can beat them. Could it be Small Brains? Absolutely. There could be a collapse there. They can beat them. Could they beat Mythos? From what we saw the first time, no, but Mythos is kind of on a skid. And so I'm going to say that, yeah, they could beat them. Could they beat Scorch? 100%. Could they
They got
beat.
Mythos in week 7, by the way.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. So it was
Oh
Incarnate.
wait, no.
No, yeah, they played Mythos already. I'm 100%. See, now you're tricking me out. I'm pretty sure they played them. Where are they at? Right there, Mapogo. Yeah, they played them week 3. They played them week 3 and lost.
Ah.
Yeah,
Yep, I'm blind.
yeah, you're blind. It's okay. Uh,
Got it.
Down Hidden Leaf ends up in the 7th seed. Let's say they did. Could they beat them? Yeah. But that's kind of how I look at it. Let's just say Femboy somehow doesn't get the 6th seed. Let's say they get the 7th seed or something like that, right? Could they beat the rest of those teams I pretty much mentioned? Absolutely. So like the roulette game here, I give them a shot against probably Scorch, Small Brains, Mythos, and Mapago right now. I think they could beat any of those teams. I think Leaf or Incarnate and their current forms would be hard outs. So yeah, can Femboys be happy getting to play-ins and
Mm,
just saying screw it, we get an extra series against a team we know we can beat? They would take it. I think they probably like that at this point in time. Um, so it might be worse for them getting top 4 because they won't get as many games. Maybe they get a couple lucky series wins. They get double limbs. They drop a series, and all of a sudden they're staring at a hole. And anytime you go to loser brackets, it doesn't feel good. So, and then they got the mental fortitude for it. I'm just saying, like, that could be their situation. So
oh, sure.
I
I
I
hmm,
go ahead.
go ahead, sir.
No, you go ahead.
No, I think for the play-in teams right now, like it's basically who wants to be this 5th seed because you're more than likely going to draw Insane Banana, and then the other two are going to be good quality teams that kind of just team kill each other. So between Mapago, Femboy, Small Brain, No Mechanics, it's like two of those 3 teams are playing each other for the play-in series. So you don't want to be part of that that 2-team kill there. You want to get the 5th seed. You want to draw either Insane Banana, or if VIP NTR make a run, you want that 7th seed.
You want the 5th seed. You want the 5th seed. There's what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the draw
No, I
the
100% agree. I think that 6-7 spot, whoever that's going to end up being, will probably be two pretty good competitive teams. Like two teams we'd look
yeah.
back at it and be like, yeah, those teams could have been top 4. They just didn't finish top 4 because of
Hmm.
whatever the circumstances. So yeah, you do not want to be. That's why I keep saying like, you really just want to be in the top 4 if you can, and I think there's a path for Femboys as well. Finishing up with Femboys, just saying like, if they can go, we'll look at the remaining roster here. What they got to play. So they got VIP. If that series happens, that might just be a free win, depending on VIP plays or not. And then you got Small Brains. Then you have Leaf, and then they finish out the season with Scorch. So I'd say there's a good chance they could go 3-1 there. It's very, very plausible. But there's some good bot lanes, and if the bot lane doesn't figure themselves out, they could also be looking at a 1-3. Like
Yeah.
that is the reality for Femboys right now. Um, you want to play for the fourth or third seed. 3-1 is what you probably have to go. They're kind of in the same spot as Small Brains and Scorch, as well as well, we'll touch on them in a second here, but yeah, Mythos probably too. You 3-1 is probably what you want to get to. You want to get to 6 wins, and it guarantees you a fourth seed spot. But at this point, I think they're locked in for top 8. Again, I don't see them missing that out, barring some crazy stuff. I think it's pretty much impossible. So they just want to aim for top 4. Otherwise, you're looking at, like you said, a 6 seed, maybe a 7 seed. But yeah, it could be pretty tough. So I'm gonna give Femboys. I'm gonna give them like a 45% chance to kind of snag that fourth spot. I think they could do it. I think it's possible. And if they do it, just don't be surprised. Rest of the league that is. All right, let's
Yeah,
move
be
on.
worried.
Be worried. Let's move on to what is. And I feel bad not being able to talk about the series, but it looks like it was an absolute banger here between the stunned teams, Stunned Incarnate and Stunned Mythos. They went to 3. I'm not surprised that these sister teams were able to do so. I think they've both been top teams in this league so far. But Incarnate is clearly putting the bar, setting the bar. They are that team. As I'll kind of show a little bit here what happened with these 3 games for you guys on screen. What do you think? Let's just start with Incarnate before we get into Mythos here, because I think Incarnate's a more intriguing conversation since they are undefeated right now series wise. I think they have dropped a couple games. I think they're 8-2 or 8-3 match record. No, I'm sorry, they're 10-3. My bad. I was close technically. I just forgot to add 2 wins in there. But yeah, so what do you think they'd have to do to kind of maintain this momentum and stay at that 1 seed, which doesn't matter that much, but hey, you get the 1 seed as long as you stay and you continue to win throughout the playoffs. You technically will always have side selection because you are that 1 seed. You'll never have to worry about side selection against any other team in the playoffs. So what does it mean to do? And also an undefeated season of 9-0, because right now 5-0 is technically the is tying, I think, the best record ever, which was Coin Flip, but I think they went undefeated, or was it? Or was it Instinct? I can't remember.
No, Coin Flip went the perfect 5-0, 10-0
Yes, so
in regular season.
it's tying at
I
least
was
the
in that group.
series. Yes, it's tying the series of 5-0 right now. Of course, not 10-0, but there's more games, so I think we could forgive them a little bit if they were to go 9-0 and finish whatever their game record would be at that point. So what do they have to do to do that? And do you think that's something they should even strive for? Do you think it's weirdly to say this, but do you think it's better to just maybe drop a series? Maybe just do some funky stuff, try something weird? Or do you think going for that undefeated run is better? Because I definitely have some takes on that, and I will get to that in a bit. But go ahead and you kind of give me those 2 thoughts. Give me your thought on, is undefeated worth it? And give me your thoughts on what they need to do to stay undefeated and continue this run at the 1 seed.
I think undefeated with it being double elim is not is worth it, just because you have the extra series and playoffs that you can drop if you need to. Also, it just depends on what you want to work on. Like, I think Incarnate isn't like the most flawless team out there. They've shown weaknesses, cracks in the armor, and they haven't shown consistently in the lineup. It feels like they've always had to go track subs. So I think this is the first in like 2 or 3 weeks where they had their normal lineup with Jacob at top. I know Wintech has been, I think AD at some point while Spirit Tracks was out. So uh, it's up to them on what they want to do. They do kind of have the ability to choose and do whatever they want, especially after winning the sister wars here between the stun teams. But overall, I mean, they can afford to try a few different comps, a few different champions to mix in there. They wouldn't surprise me if they maybe test something out. Maybe even like the Shyvana rework coming up. Maybe they're the first ones to kind of throw it in some wacky positions. Maybe see what it does. But overall, I think if you want to go undefeated, you can most certainly try for it. But it wouldn't surprise me if they're just kind of wanting to make sure they stay in form for playoffs.
Yeah. So I think I would say overall, it's a pretty fair take. Um, Man, I struggle to find like what they could really do to overall improve off the top of my head. Like it's a team that's certainly dropped some games, but I think they've looked really good. They've obviously had multiple 3 game series, so they've been able to work through that, which is a testament to their mental strength. Their polls look pretty good. I think. I mean, really, just looking at it, there's nothing that really sticks out. I guess you know, everyone's always on the Jacob fan club, but technically he's not really a top laner. I don't know how much that really has mattered so far. I mean, he has had moments he's struggled, but then these moments he kind of just shines and pops off. But I don't know if that's really like something to like fix. I mean, he's obviously playing top lane. He's getting better at it each week. So I don't really know. I don't know what it is for them right now. Probably just continuing to play their game and don't get in your own head. You know, sometimes it's all it takes. It's like, okay, so we know we're here, we know what we're capable of. We've beaten pretty much everyone that we need to beat at this point. There's maybe one other kind of big opponent we got coming up. If we knock them down, like we've proven that we're the team to beat. Um, just continue to play your style. Maybe not trying to worry about trying new things too much if you're looking to continue to be that top dog. But if you really just want to start trying things for playoffs, this would probably be the time to start to do this. I don't think you can miss playoffs at this point. You get one more win, you're like to me, you're locked in top four. They could literally go 1-3 at this point, I think, and they would be good for that top four spot. But how much do you value being undefeated? How much does that matter to you? I think that's a question. For me, I think undefeated is always a bad thing. I don't think it's ever a good thing. Um, because in the moment you do finally lose a series, is the moment you find out your biggest weaknesses. And so they've been tested a bit, but they've never lost a series. So when they lose a game, it's like, okay, we lost, like, well, whatever, but like we won the series. We 2-1, we're in a fine spot. So, um, I I don't know. I don't think being 9-0 going in, even with the double elimination, you'd want that. Because you go in, you play your first best of 5, you lose. Like that doesn't sound good. That sounds like a team about to get frustrated, very frustrated, very quickly. Like you'll be very much tested on your mental strength at that point because that's when you drop your first series. Is it a best of 5? Now you're questioning, was everything we did in the regular season a fluke? Instead of being like, well, yeah, we had that one loss, so we lose this series. We know how to get better because we got better after that one loss. I think it makes a big difference.
I see both sides of it. Like it is nice to be sit back and say like, hey, yo, we went undefeated. Especially against what the top teams are showing, and even can say, hey, to the sister team, not only did we beat you guys, but we went completely undefeated, where you guys dropped a game or two games now, one to us, one to one of the playing teams. So it just depends how you look at it, but they definitely have the freedom to kind of make their own choices, play their own games. I just think for improvement, definitely could be just playing more, getting more reps together, and overall just continue to learn from these games even when they win. They have dropped games. They've dropped 3 maps so far,
Yeah, one hundred
so they're
percent,
not infallible. And they have a
100%.
really decent schedule coming up. Where they got Hidden Leaf,
Yeah, let's peek at that.
Scorch.
Let's peek at that.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
they still have 2 quality opponents coming up.
yeah, 100%. And I mean, like I said, you can go 1-3, 2-2, maybe even 0-4 if you wanted to, and you'd probably still be just fine. Um, but yeah, I think at this point we're not really talking about what it takes for them to, like I said, keep top four. Right? It's all about if they want to stay at the one and how much that means to them And if it means a lot to them, then but we'll see. We'll see that every week if they continue to play to win, only to win. And, if you don't see no funky picks or any weird stuff, shenanigans going on, maybe some weird level 1 shred that hasn't been seen yet. Like, I don't know, maybe, we talk about how, like, um, lane swapping isn't really good because of the quests. Maybe they try it for some weird reason. I don't know. Maybe they're like, let's just see what happens. Let's just find out. Maybe we could just deny the top laner so much gold that, like, it's unplayable and just I don't know. I'm throwing out ideas here, but um, barring something like that, just playing your game, they'll be where they need to be. So um, let's discuss their sister team though, because I think that there's a lot of discussion there. Of course, Mythos started off so strong. I mean, it looked like there was not going to be much of a chance of any team to touch them. Now here we are in week 5. It's been back-to-back weeks, kind of like, again, we talk about what happened to Small Brains. They're on a skid, right? They've lost 2 in a row, including to, like what you said, currently a play-in team in Mapago. Gave them their first series win of the year. So yeah, what's going on with Mythos? I think, first off, they've had some roster changes, which matter a little bit. Um, but to the other side of the coin, um, because of those roster changes, Seko, obviously being a very good player, phenomenal jungler, is now transitioned to top lane. Got to wonder how much that is affecting the team, as well as him as a player. So, where can they get back on track, and continue to look like a top team and fight for this top 4, instead of fighting for this top 8?
I think they can work on coordination and macro a little bit. I actually talked to Darkin, who's kind of the head of the stun teams. He's the one that got them in here, and it's a clear difference on, Incarnate is a very slow pace, very methodical macro team, to where Mythos in a lot of their games they kind of make me think of Hidden Leaf a little bit, where they can play a lot of hands check, skill check each type of champions and skirmish very well, but macro wise, they don't play the map as clean as, say, like a Small Brains or an Incarnate or even a Scorch to a degree. So that's something I think they can improve on with the lineup change. Obviously, getting more reps will help with that. Again, I think that's kind of been the theme of this season for a lot of the teams, is, bringing in subs and finding difficulties with scheduling. But even, props to them for making it work. But I think sometimes it can backfire if you have to do it too many times. So I still think they're in great position going in the playoffs. I don't think anybody wants to draw them at all. Definitely looks like they're going to be key in making the top 4. So I don't think, if they just continue doing what they're doing, they're going to make that pretty easily. But yeah, just being able to just play more cohesively, I think is one thing they can work on.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely can agree there. I've watched a decent amount of the matchups, and I know, Rexy came on, like, he definitely talked about, like, the funny thing was, I think he mentioned, like, watch us get our full roster and then we lose. I want to say that wasn't week 3 that happened, but it was no, wait, it was week 4, right? He was on the show week 3. So I think they got the full roster week 4 and then lost. Maybe I'm wrong, but I have to double check that. But so maybe there is some of that, like, man, we haven't been able to play together as full 5, and it's been affecting things. Um, but now that they've got some reps in, they've got a couple series in. This looks to be the roster, um, across the board. I'd like to believe that they'll get right back on track. I can't imagine, from what I've seen of them, that they're a team that's going to not be able to do that. But you're playing your sister team, who's they're a great team. Like, Incarnate, it's not some team you just walk into and you're gonna pick up and make free wins. The Mapago one maybe stings a little more, but I think there's a conversational piece to be said against about Mapago, that they're just such a great team, as well. Like, just their record doesn't really say as much about them as maybe another team's record does. So for me, it's just maybe that consistency and getting more reps in, like you said, will be the difference maker for them. Their path to the playoffs is not an impossible one, or not two playoffs, but the top four. Um, but it is one that's going to have some more hurdles. They have a lot coming up here. So for as far as schedule here, they got NTR next week. So that's like that should be the get right series. That should be the get back on track, get a win in there. Then they get IBP, which teams have had some really weird stuff with IBP, but some teams have been able to take care of them without as much of an issue. Who knows? If Mythos doesn't feel good about their week 6 games, like they're like, nah, these don't feel good, then maybe they're staring down another hole too. Maybe they somehow flub this one. I don't know. But I'd like to believe that going into week 8, which is against possibly VIP, that they should be in a great spot. And VIP, if they're still playing and they're still around, which again I hope they are, that will certainly be somewhat of a test because it is a team that still competes pretty hard and have shown bright spots. Maybe VIP, if they're still around, have figured some stuff out by then, right? They did actually have a chance to beat Incarnate in game 1 of their series, so VIP definitely can push teams. And then they finish with Small Brains, and to be honest, that's a big matchup. Like that might be your 4th seed matchup right there. So if they're able to get through those 3 series without much of an issue, they get right, they get back on track. I don't see a reason why they can't be number 3, number 4, maybe even the number 2 seed. But it all really comes down to what their opponents around them do, and I think that matters a lot here because we look at the standings. We talked about a lot of these teams. We talked about Scorch. We talked about Small Brains. We talked about Femboys, and I think we could even have conversations about Mapago next. Digger in that similar conversation with these teams. Who is going to take charge out of these teams at this point? Who's it going to be? Who's going to say, hey, we're still a top 4 team. We're still a legit contender right now, and not just a team that's fighting to get in. Because if you're solidifying yourself as top 4, you're saying that you're a top dog, in my opinion, right? So who's it going to be? And I think Small Brains has the harder run to get to where they need to go. I think Scorch has a harder run to get to where they need to go. I think Femboys has a harder run to get to where they need to go. We'll look at Mapago's schedule here in a second. But I think all things said, I think Mythos has the best chance of being that 4 or that 3rd seed of those teams. So I'm going to give them a high 80% chance, 85% chance. Like they should pull this out probably, and not be playing play-ins. So.
Yep, agreed, 100%.
Yeah. So with that said, I guess we'll jump into the next one. And again, guys, just want to say if you guys are watching, I know you guys the Sun teams watch a lot. I'm sorry that there's not a I think that was the last fight actually. There's not a deep dive this week or anything. Just I want to be able to give you guys 100% the best content I can, and not be able to do that, I feel like this was the best direction. So hope you guys still enjoyed talking about your 2 teams at least. Because I know you guys are both avid watchers, and we do appreciate that and a lot from you guys, and for everyone else who watches too. But I know not everybody gets the time as much to watch sometimes. I'm talking about my team. I'm just kidding. They watch too. Maybe not Zema. Fid watches. I know Fid's watching right now. He's gonna flame me for something. He's gonna be like, this guy's horrible. I didn't feed this week on the Wukong, so I think it's fine. I think he can't flame me this week. But yeah, man. So let's jump into the last 2 teams, and then we'll get to the power rankings. So we've got Mapago versus NTR, and Mapago, after getting their big win last week, they get another nice little series here. But before talking about them, I figured let's just talk about NTR. I think they have shown some small little bright spots, but at this point, do we think it's even possible for them to upset anybody? And if it is, who can they upset? And what can they do to do that?
They could upset Insane Banana.
Okay.
I think they could. They have a puncher's chance there. Who else do they have?
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, that's got to be the match right there. Like, NTR has made some games funky. I mean, that Femboys series, they had one of those games where if Femboys slipped up a couple times, NTR could have maybe been able to end because The game was so back and forth, like
I
kill
mean,
here, kill
I,
there.
I I'll go out on a limb here. Like NTR finishes off the season with Insane Banana VIP. They beat those two. They have tiebreakers over those two. They actually make the play-in.
Yeah, anything is possible. I always say the
Yeah.
sky's the limit. I think they've, from week to week, have shown willing to improve and do different things. So I don't think the team is incapable of getting better. They've proven that. That's without question, without doubt in my mind. Um, through some of the limitations they have as a roster, they've been able to do that. I think Dionysus is actually an exceptional mid laner. His picks are very unique. His talent's actually insane. I understand why people ban that now after what I saw last week. Um, Staney, we know what he's capable of. We've seen him in this league prior. He is a phenomenal ADC. I think if the roster and the team come together and just put together the greatest matches of their lives, they can do it. And I think they could certainly beat Insane Banana Posse because Insane Banana Posse be playing off role. So who
Yeah.
knows? Who knows? If they monkey enough, it might come back to bite them in the butt. So maybe that's the series that does. And at that point, Insane Banana Posse would then need to win another series, right, to get to those 2 wins, and hope NTR doesn't win it anymore. So yeah, there's a path there. I'm gonna give them like a 10%, 15% chance at most, but there's a path. You beat VIP if they play, but that's also possible. Or you just beat Insane Banana Posse because VIP might just be a free win for everybody. Again, I don't know. I really hope not. I don't like forfeits. Nobody likes forfeits. You get a bye week you don't want. Nobody likes it. So we're praying. We'll try to work through that. But yeah, what do they do to do that? What do they do to beat Insane Banana Posse?
Better early games. I think, especially in the top side of the map, they have found themselves falling behind quite a bit in laning phase. And so when they come to these team fights and they're trying to rely on their carry potential players in their mid and Staney in the bot lane, they're not coming to these fights on even playing fields, so it's just really hard. So I think that's been the biggest thing that stands out to me is it feels like the top side of the map just isn't having the greatest split, and they just need to find ways to leave these laning phases on even ground, and then let their carries put in the work and support them in team fights. Week 7. Oh, sorry, week 8. uh, That'd be the most Midwest thing ever for sure. Uh-huh. Save the best one for last. Uh, win series, close out games. I think I I mean, they've taken damn near the whole league to 3 games and have only salvaged 2 wins out of it. Uh, it's just kind of that simple. I think they play some of the best like mid to late game, but then sometimes in the early game they find themselves trying to like dig out of a hole. I think stylistically wise, they got to play to their bot lane. I think, and I'll just go ahead and say it. I think they have the best bot lane in the league. Like right now, Nexus and uh, Tango are playing out of their mind. Even into Angel Boy and Ashes, they won all 3 lanes there in the Femboy series against the Mythos. The Mythos bot lanes did throw haymakers back at them, but they ended up coming out on top there. And I think the rest of the map just can kind of support them and not get behind. Mr. Bufa's been playing amazing topside, but oh, let's have that discussion. Come on. I got mine. Yeah. Yeah. It's actually insane. No, I think kind of going off what you're saying. Yeah, I think they're if they beat Insane Banana uh and Vancouver Impact, they're a lock for sure. Playing series, but the big matchups are the last 2 weeks against Small Brain and Hidden Leaf. Uh, the Small Brain could potentially be for side selection in the middle series if Mapago beats Small Brains and Small Brains like loses one of their other harder matchups. Then you could see Mapago having side selection for game one of the play-in. Yep.
I don't know if anyone was hearing me this all time. If you weren't, I'm sorry. I must have clicked something at some point. I don't remember doing that. Oops. Well, just lost my audio. GG. I've done this again.
Hmm.
I am the sprinter of sprinters. I am the
No,
sprinters of
no.
sprinters. The last 15 minutes just completely shot. I'm gonna still upload this, guys. I'm sorry. I've done this again, and I just don't know exactly where I messed it up. Point is, it's gonna be a fun. It's gonna be a fun week 6. I'm just going into power rankings, man. How do I keep messing this up, bro? I keep doing two things at once when I shouldn't. Let's just do power rankings.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, guys. Oh, I didn't realize I messed up again. You guys are gonna listen to me and laugh at me. All right. Well, I'm just gonna jump into power rankings. So yeah, what's going on in power rankings? Well, let's see. Well, boom. We're not surprised at the bottom 3 teams, right? Torres, Steven Raccoons, again, still sitting at the 10. Vancouver Impact at the 9, and Insane Banana Posse at the 8. Do you have any things about those?
No. No. No arguments here.
All right, great. Um, let's go ahead and let's peek here at the next 3. There's a shocker there for you, maybe, but yeah, I dropped Small Brains down 4. They don't have a meaningful win on their record, So I think they're number 7 on my power rankings. Moving Mapago up 1 to the 6th spot, and Scorch up to, I think, one of their highest places of the split, up to 5. I was thinking about putting them a little higher, but I just need to see them do a little more winning here, and whatnot. I still think a win over Small Brains will be impressive. Um, so I don't know if they'll move them up any further from that win, but if they get that win, it's just more credence to their team. So yeah, do you have anything to say about this?
Um, I think it's a healthy discussion between these three teams, but I think they're going to sort themselves out in the coming weeks because they at some point they do play each other.
Yeah, I
So
mean, this is the CLT cop out every time, guys. This guy will never
I
ever give me any real thing. Yeah, I know they play each other, so it'll sort themselves out. But the point of power rankings is fluid, right? It's week to week in a
I
sense. So
okay.
what
Yeah,
you've seen,
Scorch is playing better right now. Mapago has the better bot lane. They just got to capitalize on their leads and play better. Small Brains need to draft better. All three of them have clear things they're doing right, and they have clear things they're doing wrong. It's just we'll see what the next couple weeks brings us going into a playoffs. But these three teams can easily go from missing the play-in series to getting that first bye, not having to deal with it, or they're going to be potentially side selection in the play-in series. It just depends on what they continue to do. But this is a staple week for these three teams.
all right, fair enough. Like I said, I think Mapago they've gotten their meaningful win. Scorch has a meaningful win and is 4-1. Small Brains doesn't have any. That's my biggest thing. And beating a top team in the league when they did, Mapago, is just an insane accomplishment.
They have the best win for sure.
Yeah.
I think they have the best win of the whole split.
Well, no, I think Incarnate have all the best wins because they've beaten top teams, but I think they have of those teams the best win. Um, so yeah, so now the next three we have Femboys moving up a spot here into finally breaking the top four, um, coming at number 4. Stun Mythos dropping a spot here to go to the number 3 spot. Hidden Leaf moving up 2 to get to the 2nd spot, and then of course Incarnate having your 1 spot for another week in a row. Yeah, so Incarnate again, they're playing for first place once again against Leaf. Can they do it again? Um, we'll see. But I think I'm more or less giving respects to Femboys and Mythos, saying that what I've seen of them is enough to say they're still a very good team and a top team. But if Mythos or Femboys loses this week, I do think they have to earn their right back up. Like just like Small Brains, they'll have to earn their way to get back up in the power rankings. Because I'm gonna tell you this right now, for Small Brains, for me, beating Scorch is one step closer to showing that you deserve to be higher up on the power rankings, but it doesn't mean you get to jump 4 spots or 3 spots. I mean, maybe they go up a spot. They need to start railing off those wins. So for Mythos and Femboys, it's kind of like, all right, you've had a couple rough weeks, you're still showing a lot. Get some more wins here, some more meaningful wins as you've already gotten this split. And then the conversational piece about the team is, you know, hey, they're better than this. Move them up another spot in the power ranking. But I would be certainly surprised if Incarnate loses the spot for the rest of the split. Anything to go on that, CLT?
No, I agree.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, then I think the episode was pretty good. Besides me messing up again, I'm sorry if about 10 minutes or so was completely messed up by me. I am just the dumbest person in the world when it comes to this stuff sometimes. Sorry that it wasn't the episode that you guys are used to seeing. Um, yeah, other than that, I just want to say thank you to everybody that watches. I mean, honestly, like, I've been meaning to talk about this for a while because it's been on my mind, but when I started this whole thing with CLT, me and him, this was back in 2024. We didn't know what exactly the plan was, and we didn't know that I'd have some of the same goof ups I've had over the time, which is always accidentally clicking a number, not realizing it because it's a hotkey on my OBS, and completely leaving out my voice. Now happened like 4 times. It's like once a split. Uh, but we also didn't know that this would be what it is now, and um, I have always been so extremely thankful to have had this opportunity with him because he is like he's like a he's like a freaking angel coming down from the heavens when it comes to this stuff, and I don't think he knows how much I appreciate him. So if you're still watching this, know that like this is it's kind of something I've been living by the last probably about 6 months. Um, is basically you don't know that you're in the moment until it's past. Um, so you'll live it like it's your last, basically. And what I mean by that is like, sometimes you're in an era, like we can talk league a little bit. TSM era, CLG, C9, how peak they used to be, right? That's gone now. And now we all look back at that nostalgically. I think that this is no different because in each one of our lives, we have moments like this with our friends, gaming on a team that you might be doing right now in this league, um, or doing something else in life. It's a moment in time. Just appreciate it. Be grateful for it. And if you have someone to go on that journey with you, be grateful to have them. So, just want to say thanks, guys. So that way, when you guys get to my mess up in the middle of the video, you know that I'm still appreciative that you guys watch regardless of my screw ups. And maybe one day I'll have someone that can produce this stuff for me so I don't mess up ever. um, so yeah, that's it. Thanks, CLT.
Yep, no problem, man.
That's what he gives me, guys. No problem, man. That's why I love this guy.
I don't know how to follow that up. I mean, it's a pleasure doing this with you, and I thought this kind of was a crazy idea, but fans want it, and you got to give the fans what they want, and it's always a pleasure doing this with you. Or even like when when I had to do it with Nexus, it's always a lot of fun. It's a lot more fun than I thought it'd be. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. It's fun. It's just it certainly is exhausting keeping up sometimes.
Oh yeah.
So hopefully the rest of the last 4 weeks can be banger, perfect episodes, and there's no problems. And I'm watching some games and taking some notes. We'll see. But until then, I hope you guys still like the episode, even though it wasn't the normal episode. And we will see you guys in week 6. Have a wonderful night.